What's up? A to Z Sports Live on a Friday. Glad to have everybody along talking Titans, but not before a game weekend because Titans and Dolphins on Monday Night Football. So we've got an extra day to break down whatever the hell is going to happen in South Beach Monday night. Are the Titans going to get a win? Are they going to drop to 0-4 before the bye week? Are they going to fix some of these major issues? Well, it seems like the Titans offered up a concerning solution to the offensive line problems ahead of this Monday Night Football game against the Dolphins. So, Sam, you asked some back-to-back questions to offensive coordinator Nick Holtz that I think most people will find interesting. And we didn't have a chance to get to it, but we were going to have a Nicholas Petit-Frere offensive line right tackle topic in question yesterday, but we didn't have a chance to do it. So we're going to do it today, and we got extra info. So I think this worked out pretty nicely. So we'll do that, talk about the big picture here and a couple injuries to watch for this matchup against Miami. Before we get to good news, before we wrap up the work week. So welcome in, Sam. Hope your sleep was solid with the rain because I slept awesome with what is Helene making its way to us now. But
that is what
rain.
that is, isn't it?
Yes, it is that massive Category 4 hurricane that hit Florida yesterday.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the rain. I'm enjoying the view of the rain. I like the rain. The rain is my favorite weather. Sammy Showers figures Sammy Showers likes the rain the most of any other weather. So this is a big 2 thumbs up day for me and a big 2 thumbs up show. We've got some good stuff to talk about with the offensive line, like you mentioned, Austin. Got some good information from Nick Holtz yesterday. I think the solutions that the Titans are potentially thinking about are interesting to talk about. What is the best solution at right tackle specifically? That is the question of the day, and something that I'm curious to see what you in the chat think about after hearing from the Titans offensive coordinator. So a good show. Before we get into it, everybody's got to share the show. Let's get more people involved in the conversation. Hit the share button in the bottom right corner of Facebook. Take the YouTube link, send it in a group chat, send it to a Titans fan in your life. Let them know, hey, A to Z Sports talking offensive line. We're here to fix the problems. That's what we're here to do on a Friday morning, is brainstorm some ideas of how to make this group play better. And you're not going to want to miss it. So share the show, leave a like on the show. That's the best way to support before we kick it off on a Friday morning.
Yep, let's officially welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. You got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon, online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans, and you do that by getting a quote with our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And TDOT, be part of the solution to stop littering in Tennessee. Visit nobodytrashestennessee.com. So in all seriousness, anybody that has been affected by Helene, very serious Category 4 storm. I've been to Clearwater, St. Pete area a few times. They got flooded pretty bad, but that's not where the biggest part of it hit. Was right around the Tallahassee or south of Tallahassee part of the Panhandle in Florida. So I hope everybody is safe. It made its way up through Georgia. And I think Charlie Burris, our friend in Knoxville, said he was going to have to take a kayak to work this morning. So hope everybody is doing all right as far as the weather comes as we get some of the rain here in Nashville over the next couple of days. Good time to play on the road, though, not at home at Nissan Stadium during some of this nasty wet weather. But Sam, the offensive line is a problem again. This has basically been the problem since you started covering the team. That this offensive line, now 3 seasons in a row, has a problem at one of the tackle positions. And here we are entering game number 4. Nicholas Petit-Frere was pulled from the second half of that game in the loss to the Packers. And this was Brian Callahan, the head coach, on Monday, talking about who might play right tackle against the Dolphins on Monday night.
We'll just see how practice goes. Again, sometimes when guys get pulled from games, it's not always necessarily means that their starting job is gone. It just means that they weren't playing very well in that game. So we'll see. We'll let them both practice. They're both going to get reps, and they might even both play. We'll see how that looks. I don't have any real definitive answer on that at the current moment, but as the week goes on, I'll have a little more clarity.
Yeah. So see how the practice goes, have more
Yeah.
clarity. I felt like Austin Brian Callahan certainly made it sound like he was leaving room for Nicholas Petit-Frere to retain the starting job, like a guy that he had benched in the middle of a game, and he goes out of his way to say, well, hey, just because we benched him doesn't mean we're not going to go back to him. And part of that is because Jalen Duncan was so bad in that game on Sunday when he came in as the replacement. So you're kind of left between a rock and a hard place if you're the Titans coaches. But crazy that we're heading into a week of practice and hearing we don't really know who our starting right tackle is. I thought another comment that was interesting from Callahan on Monday talked about the offensive line and the overall issues for the unit and the way that they haven't protected Will Levis. And Brian Callahan was asked if he was surprised at the little impact Bill Callahan has seemingly had on the offensive line, with it still being, a work in progress. And he actually said no. He felt like there was some progress. He felt like J.C. Latham has played very well. He thought Peter Skoronski has played pretty well and played well enough. He thought Lloyd Cushenberry has been all right. So he was okay with the left side of the line, but said that right side's the problem. And yet, do you have a solution? I don't know. It doesn't exactly instill a ton of confidence in me that the Titans don't know who their starter is going to be until they see them in practice this week.
Yeah, and like you've been practicing for a long time now, and
Right.
you're having to wait until
you get one padded practice. Yesterday was the only padded practice the Titans have all week, and so you probably get one practice to see who your starting right tackle is. That's just not great for me.
Because you asked Nick Holtz, the offensive coordinator, yesterday about kind of the overall theme of the week of the right tackle battling out in practice between NPF and Jalen Duncan, and here was the offensive coordinator yesterday.
Yeah, well, they both have also been getting reps leading up to this. So, it hasn't been Nick taking all the reps anyways. Those guys always roll. But really the big day is tomorrow. We'll be in full pads. Kind of everybody's, can block in with no pads on and kind of, I would have had them and those kind of things, see the hand placement things. But it's hard to evaluate that. So tomorrow will be a big day and they'll get a bunch of live-ish situations and the guy that plays the best will kind of take the job. And, Nick, I know he wants some plays back and JD does too. And so they just got to kind of keep growing and it's what we got.
Is that one or both?
So there's a second part of that comment that we'll get to later, but that's
to me,
today.
Actually, he's technically talking about
yes.
Today in this rain is the day that the Titans are going to be in full pads and going to be judging who's the starter for Monday Night Football.
Yeah, so they're going to be in the bubble, I guess, for practice because they don't like to practice outside.
Most definitely,
in a tropical storm that carries through the Gulf of Mexico. But I think I find it very concerning that the Tennessee Titans are entering the last weekend of September and having to use a Friday padded practice to figure out who is going to be a starter at right tackle between two guys that have put nothing but bad tape on there for now. Every week that passes, more edge rushers just get to watch that tape and rewind it and play it through again and licking their chops at how they can beat the Titans right tackle. And so I get like they're trying to have an open competition. I don't think it's the wrong way to approach it, but it is very concerning that this is the way that they have to approach it going into week 4 for me.
Yeah. I mean, all of this is bad. And, Nick Holtz had a comment about Nicholas Petit-Frere where he said, look, you got to take away his bad plays, right? Brian Callahan has talked about he's been largely good until the bad plays, and the bad plays have just been horrible and so, detrimental to the offense that it hurts you. And Nick Holtz had a comment that I liked a lot where he said, I think we'd all love to be judged like removing all of our bad moments, though. If you took away all the bad plays that I called, I'd be really good at being an offensive coordinator. And like that goes for everybody in their job. If you took away all the bad stuff, I'm actually pretty good. The problem is you can't because that bad stuff exists. And with Nicholas Petit-Frere, like Brian Callahan said, the bad has been very bad. I think he's probably the more consistent option to Jalen Duncan. But the fact that you're sitting here in week 4 with 2 guys that are both detrimental to your offense, that feel like have hurt your ability to get into an offensive rhythm, despite the left side of the offensive line playing well, you can't run the ball very well. You've gotten behind the sticks. You're allowing too many sacks. And it's really everybody staring down this right side of the offensive line. So there's I don't feel good about either one of them playing, against the Dolphins. And you're going to play defenses, like you said, that are going to, emphasize, hey, why run our best pass rusher at JC Latham if we can just go at Nicholas Petit-Frere the whole time? I mean, his efforts against the Packers were pathetic. There were so many plays that he didn't even get his hands on his guy before his defender was hitting Will Levis.
It was really bad. It was very bad. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to ask you guys a question. We had options in our question. I feel like people are probably going to go off the board.
Let's go off the board then.
You want to go off the board? Just open-ended, just no options.
Yeah.
Just flat out. Who should be the Titans starting right tackle against the Dolphins? Like, this is like against the Dolphins on Monday. Who should be the Titans starting right tackle? That is what we want to know from you guys. You can go off the board if you want to say somebody. I don't know who the hell is going to be the right tackle against the Dolphins.
Keep in mind this is 3 days from now, though.
Yes, like they're not going to be able to add somebody that's not currently gaining paychecks from the organization. So who should be the Titans right tackle against the Miami Dolphins? But first, let me tell you guys about this quick offer that we have here from Factor, our friends at Factor Meals. You only got until Monday to take advantage of this. And this is a really big time offer because if you go to factormeals.com/ATOZ50 and use that code ATOZ50, you get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. And that's with code ATOZ50 for factormeals.com/ATOZ50, 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. I actually love Factor, to be honest. Like, I ordered it like last week and before this even popped up here. And so Factor's the best meal service that I've come across over the several that I've tried really since COVID hit. I think the best flavors, they fill you up. They're also the easiest to prepare. You put it in the oven for 9 or 10 minutes and you're ready to go. You can do it in the microwave for 2 if you're really in a pinch. But they've helped me out this past week as the season rolls on. Life just keeps getting busier and Factor makes it easy. So whatever your preferences are for your dietary needs, they've got you with different options. 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week. Plus, you have wellness goals that you can hit with dietitian-approved meals like I was mentioning. So head to factormeals.com/ATOZ50. Use that code ATOZ50 for 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. And that's only through Monday. So make sure you jump on that pretty quickly here at factormeals.com/ATOZ50. Sam, I'll send you to the chat. And that is who should be the Titans starting right tackle against the Miami Dolphins. You can go off the board as long as they're currently employed by the Titans. Who should be the starting right tackle? What's the chat saying here?
See, I use Daniel Brunskill one right here. I see Chris Hubbard trying to get down to the comments. Hubbard, Brunskill, Dylan Radunz, Leroy Watson, Chris Hubbard. Again, a guy who's not with the organization right now.
Yes. We can talk about Chris Hubbard later, though.
Daniel Brunskill, Chris Hubbard, JC Latham, Nicholas Petit-Frere, still Nicholas Petit-Frere, an empty chair. Daniel Brunskill, put Jeffrey Simmons out there. Daniel Brunskill, Dylan Radunz, Jeffrey Simmons. Sadly, it's NPF. We got NPF. Ashley wants T-Rack at right tackle. We got NPF because Duncan is worse than him. We've got Nick Vanette moving to right tackle. We've got John Ojukwu at right tackle. NPF. More Ojukwu. We've got Cole Spencer becoming a tackle and playing right tackle. We've got Dylan Radunz. We got NPF and a tight end. Taylor Lewan, Josh Wiley, Jeffrey Simmons, Dylan Radunz. Is he hurt? No, he's the right guard. Jalen Duncan. Pretty much any reason possible not to play one of these 2 right tackles is what I'm getting. And I know the chat's being joking around here, but we've got some Daniel Brunskill, some Dylan Radunz, some anything other than NPF or Jalen Duncan.
There were some NPF answers. There was not a single Jalen Duncan answer.
Which I think is fair.
I know,
right?
but like...
we got Julius Chestnut in the chat more than we've got Jalen Duncan for who should be the starting right tackle.
That is just crazy. I mean, again, like the Titans' solution to the starting right tackle, not wrong, but still crazy. Nobody answering Jalen Duncan, not wrong, but still crazy, because there was an empty chair answer before there was a Jalen Duncan answer. And I just think that he's their backup.
He is the backup. Yeah. I mean,
usually the backup is a very popular person in a bad starter spot.
That's the crazy thing about, I guess, the predicament that they're in, is that for all the Titans fans in the chat saying, well, what about like a John Ojukwu or something, like, the Titans have watched NPF, Duncan, Ojukwu, Leroy Watson, Jaron Christian all next to each other in training camp and decided for Jalen Duncan and Nicholas Petit-Frere to be their top two right tackle options, which maybe says something about the other guys.
Right. But and here we are. The other guys are getting way more votes than Jalen Duncan. So my answer to this question, Sam.
I mean, I don't blame the fans for having that opinion, though, because you've seen Jalen Duncan. You've seen Jalen Duncan stink. We haven't seen some of the other guys stink yet.
We have seen them stink in practice. We have not seen them stink in a game.
Fans have not seen them stink in a game.
I do not want to see John Ojukwu. Nothing against the guy. I do not want to see him. I've been there, done that. Don't need it anymore. It's done. He is worse. I will say that much. I think it has to be Nicholas Petit-Frere. I just think that's where you're at right now with the right tackle job going into Miami. Like, I think after, like, if NPF or whoever plays right tackle stinks out loud bad on national TV when they're doing the split screen with the Seahawks and Lions, because you don't need to see full screen NPF getting beat on the right side. I think maybe you've got a bye week to go do some other things, but it has to be NPF. And I see Trey says at this point it's NPF, but the leash is very short. Like, the leash to go to what? Like, and that's, I think, the problem. So I don't know where you are, Sam, with this, but I think it has to be NPF.
Yeah, so I will say I think it has to be Nicholas Petit-Frere for Monday Night Football, but I think it would take a lot from NPF for me not to make a move for week 6. You have the bye week, and I think the Titans need to use that bye week to their advantage to potentially, explore some other options, whether externally or internally. You can't make that switch so suddenly in the middle of a practice week, in the middle of the regular season, preparing for a Monday Night Football game. I just think the way that, like, if you're talking about Daniel Brunskill, a name that the chat is bringing up a lot, a name that I have brought up a lot as somebody who I would not hate to see get a chance at right tackle. Daniel Brunskill has not been training as a tackle for a bit now. Mm-hmm. I think, that would be a guy who you use the week of practice next week, the bye week, and the week leading up to your next game to potentially work him in with the tackles, get him more comfortable out there before sending him out there. I don't want to do that this week, though. I think that's your sort of emergency internal option if you need one, because Nicholas Petit-Frere isn't very good. And I don't expect NPF to snap his fingers and fix it. I think there's a mental thing going on with NPF. That's kind of what he expressed to me in the locker room after the game on Sunday. And I mean, if you want to go ahead and play that, we can.
For sure.
This is a guy who does not know what his problem is.
Yeah, very interesting conversation that Sam and other Titans media had with NPF in the locker room after getting benched versus the Packers on Sunday.
Disappointing. I know you were really hoping to have a bounce back, some struggles again. How do you kind of explain what's going wrong for you over the last few weeks at this point?
I don't know. I mean, this is probably the worst stretch of ball I've had probably in my career playing football. I only had one time back in college where, I just wasn't at my best because of whatever reasons that may be. And I got taken out like I did today for a spell, and then I came back. But, I'm not trying to be there again. So I got to just find out what I need to do to get better, whether it's mental, physical, whatever it takes, because this is not good enough. I'm disappointed with myself. I'm disappointed with what I did for the O-line. I feel like I can play better, and I take all onus on me. There's no one else to blame except for my performance, my lack of being where I need to be the best football player. So,
how do you figure out how to fix it then?
I mean, it's whatever it is. I mean, I had whatever it was in college that I was able to fix it. It was a mental thing, and I was able to power through it. And whatever I'm dealing with now is something that I got to figure out what to do. I had a great group of guys behind me back in college that helped me through that, and I feel like I have the same group of people here because it's just not good enough, and I'm disappointed in myself. But they're going to raise me the way that I feel like I should have been able to raise up to the O-line to help them play better, to help our team play better. So those are the things that I have to do to find a way to be better.
Do you think it's your job? Should it stay your job? What do you feel about like a job standing?
I mean, I want to compete every single day. I mean, I'm never going to take this lightly. And I already told people it's NFL, so every single day is going to be a competition. I never think it's my job. I always think I have to come in and compete and be better. And I have to prove myself every single day. And right now, I need to find a way to keep proving myself and prove that I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be the guy, and I'm supposed to be playing at the best of my ability. And right now, I don't feel like I'm there right now. So it takes a big week of practice for me. A lot of soul searching, a lot of mentally locking down and just looking within myself to find out why am I here, what am I doing, and what's wrong so I can be better.
Austin, I haven't really heard your thoughts on that since the game on Sunday, but how did you feel about the way that Nicholas Petit-Frere answered those questions in the locker room?
I think he did everything he possibly should have done and could have done. Like, I think that's, when you suck that bad and you look awful and you get benched mid-game, like, that's the book on how to answer it the right way. Now, it was awkward as hell. Like, you were standing right there holding that camera, and I don't know how many reporters ended up joining in on that scrum, but that is a very awkward 2.5 minutes, and it went further. It continued for a solid 3+, probably 5. But like and I also heard from Buck, I think it was, that it was a very thin locker room. Maybe Kayla Anderson mentioned this too. Very thin locker room. Not a lot of people hanging around there. People getting out of there pretty quickly. Yep. And NPF not just dodging things.
He was fully dressed, fully showered, therefore ready to go, right?
Yes.
Fully dressed, fully showered. And he was sitting in his locker, almost expecting and waiting and anticipating media and waiting for us to get there. And so when I was the first one in the locker room, I had the chance to just grab him and say, hey man, like, let's talk for a minute. Like, what's coming. And so it wasn't a big group, but that is a tip of the hat to NPF, because we have seen guys in the past, cough, Dennis Daly, who ran out of the locker room before the media could even get down the stairwell. Every game. He did not speak to the media for like an 8-week stretch because he was not in the locker room during practice, during open media. And he would dip out of there after Sunday games and hide and find every way not to talk to us. And Nicholas Petit-Frere has not been that way. He has been around in the locker room after practices, after games. He has owned it, taken it on the chin. So at least to that standpoint, a big tip of the hat to him.
You have to. I mean, you have to respect the ability, the fact that he was ready to go. And like you're saying, like he was just sitting there waiting and that is a professional approach to that. Now, is he going to continue to play to be a professional right tackle? That's what I don't know, because, the thing that he mentioned in college of having something going on mentally and having some other guys to help him kind of fight through that is interesting. I don't know what that could be. Like, I don't really see where, because I remember when he came back in after missing the first week of training camp, and he did that first press conference with you guys after missing most of the offseason. I remember most of the Titans being like, man, that guy looks very refreshed. He looks really energized, right?
So that's the thing for me, man, is listening to, like, knowing where I was at on NPF during training camp when he was fighting, like gets back from the knee scope, comes back, excited to work under Bill Callahan, excited to go and earn the right tackle job. Seemed like a dude that just had a ton of confidence that he would be able to get it done. Energized, like you said. a new comfort, it felt, with the media and with his own skin, and just seemed like, hey, this is impressive. Like Nicholas Petit-Frere, a guy that you got to watch to earn the starting job. And sure enough, he goes in there and does within like a week. The Titans were loving what they saw from him and had him as the starter. He's not that guy right now. Like his demeanor, you can tell there's something like really burdening him and bothering him. And he's not as free and confident and energetic as he once was just a few months ago. I find the term that he used, soul searching, very interesting and daunting and, odd, right? Like, what does that mean? And it certainly has me concerned about whether or not NPF is going to be able to figure out the mental thing that he's got going on. That's really all he's been able to tell me as far as like football stuff is it's a mental thing. There is a mental thing right now on the football field that is having me make big, disastrous, detrimental mistakes. But understanding the shift in his demeanor and how he's speaking, I don't know how much confidence I have that he's going to be able to snap his fingers and fix that.
Right. And Curtis says he's got the yips. And like when you're saying it's like, I'm just sitting here screaming. I feel like I'm the big cat gif of just like figure it out.
Figure it out,
You know, like, come on, man, like figure it out. Like it's just very frustrating, very frustrating. And so you brought up the Daniel Brunskill option about what could happen after the Miami game if NPF continues to play similarly to what he's been the last couple of games. I want to get to some numbers about Daniel Brunskill, but first playing tackle. But first, I want to tell everybody about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, and that happens, like life injuries happen. You do something silly, you slip and fall, you hurt something. You brace yourself with your wrist and your arm, and boom, now you got something to deal with. Or maybe it's that old lingering injury that's popped back up from your youth, playing sports, doing whatever it was when you were younger. That's hurting you now. You can get that taken care of as well with the Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. All the experts and the resources under one roof in Franklin. Go book an appointment when you need them. They're there for you. boneandjointtn.org.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Listen, I don't know if you're going to get a better player prop than 35.5 receiving yards for DeAndre Hopkins in Monday Night Football right now on BetMGM. 35.5 for a guy who is over 70 yards, is supposed to be getting an increased snap count once again this week. I love the over for DeHop, and Will Levis seems to be finding his former favorite target a little bit more frequently. 35.5, bet it with BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you bet on BetMGM and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses with the sportsbook born in Vegas.
All right, Sam. So you brought up the idea of Daniel Brunskill, which, I think you did that at Titans at 2 earlier in the week, I believe. I heard you bring up Daniel Brunskill. Is that right?
Maybe Primetime, one of the two.
Primetime, one of those two other shows you've been on so far this week. And like when you said that, when I first heard, I was like, okay, I think that makes some sense because when Daniel Brunskill was signed by the Titans, they're like, oh, this guy's played everything but center in his NFL career, and as a short deal, it was Rand Carthon. Familiar with the guy in San Francisco, that's a really good offensive lineman to have in your building that you can do a lot of things with. Now, he was not great, but not bad, playing a lot of snaps at right guard last year for the team, battling through an ankle injury. And so Steve says, why not Brunskill at this point? And that's kind of what you've brought up. Now, I had Easton do some research while we've been sitting here doing the show. I asked, okay, what are his numbers playing tackle in San Francisco? So Easton pulled up that he played both right and left tackle in 2019.
Yeah.
That he allowed 2 sacks, 7 hurries, and 9 pressures on 233 pass blocking snaps. In Daniel Brunskill's career, which is about to be 4,000 snaps the next time closing in on 4,000 snaps in his career, he has only played 10% of those snaps at either left or right tackle.
Yeah.
And it hasn't happened since 2019. So here's kind of what I'm posing to you. which is the better option for the Titans? NPF at right tackle or a guy who hasn't played tackle in 5 years? Because that's kind of what you're down to of your options in the building, because clearly nobody wants Jalen Duncan.
Yeah, well, and nobody wants to move Dylan Radunz, I think, is another big thing. I saw, we can go ahead and get to this super chat here, but Noah came in and said, Brunskill to right guard, Radunz to right tackle is the only viable internal fix. You don't want to move, but you don't want to move Radunz. NPF is the one that doesn't hurt your long-term development for other offensive linemen. So still kick the tires on some practice squad vets. Now, I agree with his assessment here. You don't want to move Radunz. The Titans have made that clear. They thought about it all throughout training camp. Do we want Radunz as a right tackle or a right guard? They feel his development is better served at right guard. And because he is still a younger guy, hoping to get some improvement from him there on the inside. So I think that takes Radunz out of the equation, even though Radunz to right tackle, Brunskill to right guard is a scenario that could work and probably would have been the go-to option if Mike Vrabel was still the head coach. I think this is what they would be doing.
Well, when I heard Dylan Radunz talk back in OTAs / minicamp, it was as soon as this coaching staff was hired, you're playing guard.
Yeah.
And it was do everything to your body. Brian and Bill Callahan like their guards to be heavier than what Dylan Radunz was naturally. So he had to put on some extra weight and get his lower body stronger after the injury and all that stuff. But it was full guard mode for Dylan Radunz, and it's been for a while. So I don't think they're just going to switch it up and make him go tackle.
I don't think switching it up for Radunz is realistic. Now, Brunskill's different because Brunskill is a guy who is a guard / center on your team technically, but I think, like you said, was brought in for his versatility and his ability to pop up and play anywhere, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the Titans are – Daniel Brunskill snaps that he's played this year have been at left tackle. So, they've used him as kind of a extra help on the left side. But they're not afraid to mix and move him around where he needs to go. I think it's much more realistic to say put him at right tackle, and that is why ultimately I can't do it this week. But if Monday night doesn't go well for Nicholas Petit-Frere / Jalen Duncan, and you need to start exploring some internal options, give Daniel Brunskill 2 weeks to start getting ready to play right tackle. I think he could be not great, probably not even good, but I think he could be less or better than detrimental to your offense and give you a better shot. It's a big ask for a guy like Brunskill to go ahead and plug in as a starting tackle in the NFL, but I think he would be able to hold it down enough to give you a better shot than you have with NPF right now.
He wouldn't lose immediately like NPF did on the sack fumble. Like when Will Levis got his neck rang like a doll because NPF was on all fours at the line of scrimmage. Like that was a lose as fast as you possibly can type of option or play for NPF. So I did see a comment I wanted to get to. Randy says, shouldn't the O-line guru be able to figure this out instead of us armchair QBs? Talking about Bill Callahan. Yes. Like if the Titans have somebody to fix it, good thing it's Bill Callahan and not Keith Carter. Could you imagine Keith Carter coaching up NPF? Like what seems like a mentally fractured Nicholas Petit-Frere and Keith Carter just coming in here and berating everybody like they can handle it when not everybody can. Like at least Bill Callahan is here, who is not afraid to berate people when they need it because he's a very fun guy to watch coach. I don't care how old he is, but Bill Callahan should be able to try to put the pieces back together from what NPF is.
Yeah. I'm kind of withholding judgment from Bill Callahan, positive or negative, right? Because I think the track record of Bill Callahan speaks for itself that he should be a very good coach and should be a very capable coach. And the body of work so far in Tennessee is not all that impressive to make me feel like he has been a good coach, but I'm not going to make that jump and say, he's a bad coach either, because, we've got decades of experience of seeing that this guy knows what he's doing. So I'm kind of trying to stay patient with the Bill Callahan thing. I do agree with you. Like in general, if you were thinking of who's our offensive line coach that we can rely on to help out some of these more broken players, Bill Callahan's a guy that would be towards the top of my list.
Yeah, for sure. Keen VC says, lock in, like the show, hit that like button for us, please, on Facebook and YouTube, goes a long way. Let's get to this comment because Easton Freeze asked Brian Callahan about scheming around a bad tackle. I think this is a really good answer from Brian Callahan on what the Titans have to do, because it does feel like NPF is the only real option against the Dolphins Monday night.
Do in the NFL with one side tackle wise being serviceable? Can you coach around having one strong tackle?
Yeah, I think so. I've been in places where we've done it. Yes, there is a way you can help. I mean, very few people have 5 All-Pro starters. Very few people have 2 tackles that are of the same calibers. Some do, but very few do, and you have to find ways to help that. I mean, you're always trying to help your weaknesses somewhere. Very few teams are complete when it comes to having everything you absolutely would want to have on a roster, and that's our job as coaches, is to find ways to, one, highlight our strengths, and 2, try to find a way to minimize whatever our weaknesses are, because everybody has them. Everybody's got strengths and weaknesses on their roster, on their team, at whatever positions, and that's my job, to put guys in position to highlight those things, and then again to help where we don't have where we consider our weaknesses might be. So yeah, it's definitely possible. I think it happens all around the league.
Possible, but easier said than done.
What have you thought, and I don't know if you're able to answer this right now, what have your thoughts been about how often they've looked to leave their tackles kind of by themselves?
Well, I think it's interesting, and this is part of why I'm saying easier said than done, because Nick Holtz had a comment on Thursday morning about this very idea of sending help and what it does for your offense. And he was kind of like, it basically shrinks your entire offense. It makes the passing game more crowded and more traffic everywhere. It gives you less guys running routes. You're essentially playing with 6 linemen and a quarterback. And so now it's like you've got limited options in the passing game. And if you've got a running back in there, now you've got 3 pass catchers potentially running routes. So it really, really, really brings down your ability to have dynamic route concepts and passing concepts in the offense when you're having to send help. And so like Brian Callahan says, can you do it? Yes. Can you do it consistently and succeed? In my eyes, no. I think you need, you got to have guys that are able to not be detrimental and hang in and on their own, so that you can actually run your offense the way it's designed to be run.
Well, and I thought one of the best things that Holtz said was he gave a specific situation. Like, if you have a 6th offensive lineman, then now instead of having a receiver run a route and then the tight end run the route underneath and make the defender choose, now you just have that defender.
You need that guy to win.
Yes. Now it puts, if you're going to run 3 guys in a route because a tight end and a running back have to protect early on, then it's a lot easier for 7 DBs to cover 3 dudes. I think it's really interesting. So let's get to the topic, because a lot of people brought up Chris Hubbard. A lot of people brought up other guys outside of the facility. And why haven't they signed somebody yet outside of the roster to help out at tackle? And Sam, you asked to follow up to Nick Holtz on this topic as well. So we'll get to that video too. But real quick, Farm Bureau Health Plans is where you should turn for your health coverage needs. Everybody needs good health coverage, and good health coverage means the right health coverage for you and your current situation, and to set yourself up for longevity with that same company. And Farm Bureau Health Plans is looking out for Tennesseans like they have been for 78 years. And you can make sure that Farm Bureau Health Plans finds that right package for what your situation is, whether you're an independent contractor, maybe you're out there by yourself fighting against the world, trying to grow. Maybe you have a growing family and you want to set up that those young kids for that right type of coverage, or maybe you're empty nested and you need that next level. Farm Bureau Health Plans has you covered all over the place. So check them out and get a quote today. Save money and get better coverage using our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ.
BetMGM is the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM. Get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet misses. Whatever your first bet wager amount is, you get that money back into your account. It comes as a bonus bet, so you get a second chance to win big. Play with BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports and use the sportsbook born in Vegas.
All right, so I saw this. Cody says Titans can pick up Chris Hubbard off the waiver wire. He's on a practice squad. So I don't know if it's.
Yeah, you could sign him to
Just
the
sign
active
him.
roster. Yeah.
He's just available to be signed to the active roster. And I thought Chris Hubbard played fairly well.
Good football before he got hurt.
Before he was out for the year. I can't remember exactly what the injury was. I feel like it was a shoulder or something that kind of put him on the shelf for the season. But he's on the 49ers practice squad. And then let's get back to Nick Holtz, because it is the 2-question answer from Nick Holtz about what's going to happen in Friday's practice today for this right tackle spot, and then what could happen after the Miami game.
Well, they both have also been getting reps leading up to this. So, it hasn't been Nick taking all the reps anyways. Those guys always roll. But really the big day is tomorrow. We'll be in full pads. Kind of everybody's, can block in with no pads on and kind of, I would have had them and those kind of things, see the hand placement things. But it's hard to evaluate that. So tomorrow will be a big day, and they'll get a bunch of live-ish situations, and the guy that plays the best will kind of take the job. And, Nick, I know he wants some plays back, and JD does too. And so they just got to kind of keep growing, and it's what we got.
Is that one or both of those guys take a jump and improve, but if you don't see that, as the bye week maybe a spot where you guys consider mixing things around or looking externally?
That's an upper management decision that I can't totally get to. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, what our long-term roster plans are. But yeah, I think everything's always on the table. But we feel really good. We do feel good about those guys, and we think they'll take the jump.
I mean, yeah, I can't answer that, but you can certainly give some influence. Like, hey, Rand, know anybody you can call? Can bring another body? I mean, do they need to? Because here's my thing. If they wanted Chris Hubbard on the roster, then Chris Hubbard would be on the roster. They've got the cap space to sign him. They have the ability to do it.
But that's the thing, is maybe you don't, if Chris Hubbard's not going to play for you in this week, what Chris Hubbard or anybody else, right? If they're not going to play for you this week in Miami, why sign them to the active roster and use one of your active roster spots now when the guy's not going to play this week, and you can sign him after the Miami game and potentially work him into the next week of practice?
I mean, you got an extra day. They have an extra day of practice before the Miami game. I feel like if they wanted to sign, if they thought Chris Hubbard could be an option, why not sign him on Tuesday? Cheeto's not on IR yet, and it's been reported that Cheeto's going to go to IR.
Here's the reason why, is because I think right now, internally, they believe that Nicholas Petit-Frere and Jalen Duncan are going to take a jump and improve and be viable options for them. I think that's what they internally believe right now. And you hear that when Nick Holtz answers that question and says, yeah, I mean, everything's on the table, but we believe in those two guys. However, I'm putting them in the scenario in my question there where, what if you don't? What if Miami's just as bad and NPF allows a strip sack of Levis because he doesn't even touch his guy and loses immediately, and Jalen Duncan is somehow worse? What do you do then? I think they do go externally. I think if there is not improvement this week from NPF, he's no longer the starting right tackle. And the Titans are going to use some of those options, with all the options are on the board, to go and address this. That's what I genuinely believe they will do. I think it's a 2-part reason why they haven't done something already. Number one is they are holding out hope that NPF/Duncan can fix this. They don't want to act so reactionary because of 2 bad games or whatever. And point 2 being, why sign them right now if they're not going to play for you right now? You can sign them on Monday.
It just, to me, it's like,
you need roster spots.
Right. But I've also heard a lot of urgency. Got to have more urgency. And so my thought on this is okay, just like DeAndre Hopkins yesterday is going to say the right things about Will Levis, Nick Holtz is going to say, yeah, I believe NPF and Jalen Duncan can be our guys. I believe in them to figure it out and to take that next step. That's what he should say as a leader of the offense. I just think if there's truly urgency and you have an extra day of the Monday night game, why not bring Chris Hubbard in, or the hypothetical Chris Hubbard in now? Because you're rolling out the possibility of going 0-4 because there's another detrimental turnover because your right tackle can't buy any time for the quarterback to do anything.
I don't
And then
disagree.
if you're 0-4, now what are you doing?
I don't disagree. I just think, they have said urgency, but they've also said urgency without panic is a big, standing point for this team right now, right? So where do you draw the line between let's have some urgency in fixing this and getting this right, and what is all right, we've hit the panic button and we've yanked the guy that we named our starter after week 3, because he had 2 bad games back to back, and games that Brian Callahan's assessment, agree, disagree, I don't know, but Brian Callahan's assessment is he was largely good enough and had a couple of disaster plays.
Yes. In the 3, he said were like really bad. Now, Brad says you can prepare and not panic. And so, but everything is measured and everything has a reaction. If you bring in Chris Hubbard on Tuesday after NPF gets benched, then now NPF, who clearly seems like he's not in the right headspace, is definitely not going to be in the right headspace. And you probably still need NPF for the Dolphins game if you do add Chris Hubbard.
I agree.
And so you need NPF to be right for this game, Chris Hubbard or not. I just feel like if Bill Callahan wanted Chris Hubbard, he would probably go get Chris Hubbard.
There's just no way to me that you have your biggest issue is right tackle, Chris Hubbard or not, right? Whatever. That's the name that we all know. But there's no way to me you can be Rand Carthon right now. You can be Brian Callahan right now, Bill Callahan right now. Watch your team 0-3, potentially go to 0-4, or even 1-3 with some serious issues. And the biggest roster issue is right tackle going into a bye week and not do something to address the problem. Sure. That to me is negligence if the Titans end up doing that. I don't think they will do that. I think something will happen. And the only scenario in which I don't see the Titans making a move to bring in somebody at right tackle is if Nicholas Petit-Frere comes out and has himself a really, really strong ball game against the Dolphins on Monday Night Football, and you feel like, all right, here's our starter moving forward.
Yeah, and we'll see if that happens. All right. I mentioned an injury with Cheeto Awuzie. We'll talk about that here in a second. A couple other injuries of note, including something that you wrote about yesterday about DeAndre Hopkins that I think is encouraging. But real quick, T-Dot, that's where you should turn to help out T-Dot and help out A to Z, help be part of the solution to end littering across Tennessee. Over 88 million pieces of litter are on our roadways right now. A lot of it's incidental, but you can help be a part of the solution to help in that littering that T-Dot spends $23 million a year trying to fix. And that's by stop littering yourself, which is more than just don't throw trash out your window or don't throw trash on the street. If you've got debris, if you got a truck, tarp it when you're carrying a load. That's where a lot of this incidental littering begins. And starts on the roadways there. You can also pick up the litter when you see it as you're walking down the street or wherever you're walking and put it in a bin, or you can join the local cleanups like A to Z Sports is going to be doing throughout this football season. So check them out at nobodytrashestennessee.com. So join up with T-Dot at nobodytrashestennessee.com.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. I brought up the line earlier with BetMGM. We're about to talk a little injury stuff. We're going to talk a little DeAndre Hopkins, but DeAndre Hopkins on Monday Night Football, 35.5 receiving yards is the over-under. I was shocked when I saw that number. I would take the over on that number. I would take it with BetMGM. And just in case, use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. It's the first bet bonus code so that your first bet is risk-free up to $1,500 with that money going back into your account in the form of a bonus bet. Bet on Titans, Dolphins using BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks.
Yeah, and I took the DeHop over. I think Easton took it too.
I already am on it. So
I think the three of us
before we move the line.
Yeah, it will move. That feels inevitable. All right, so some injury updates. DeAndre Hopkins is on this list, but it's not injury related. But he is rest during this Thursday practice that is technically kind of like a Wednesday, as they have an extra day before the Monday night game. But Cheeto Awuzie, who I mentioned earlier, with a groin, did not practice again. It was reported by Aaron Wilson of the Houston Chronicle earlier in the week that he is a candidate to go on injured reserve. Has not happened yet.
No, well, I would push back on that.
You would push back on what?
The fact that it was reported by Aaron Wilson. That was.
I mean, he tweeted it.
Yeah,
he tweeted about Chido Awuzie.
He tweeted about it 12 hours after the local media had that update from Brian Callahan in person. And I had written 3 articles on A to Z Sports about it. So
I'm sorry, but
I'm just saying, like this is you're the problem right now. There's a lot of this.
I'm the problem.
No, there's a lot of this going around, right? But like you're helping for example, Ian Rappaport had an update about that the other day.
Oh, the Tajay Spears is going to play
Sunday
thing?
morning. I'm hearing per sources that Tajay Spears is expected to play. And my buddy Terry McCormick took it upon himself to respond and say, "Thanks, Ian. The head coach told us that on Friday afternoon."
No, but I do think there's a difference. Time out, because this is fair. Because I think what Terry did, that was a Brian Callahan flat out said that he was going to play on Friday, right?
I mean,
and
Brian Callahan flat out said he talked about the injury for Chidobe Awuzie. The follow up was, is injured reserve a possibility? And he goes, definitely
Yes,
a possibility.
A possibility, but Wilson's was going on injured reserve. There is a different level of that.
Yeah.
Like Brian Callahan said, Tajay Spears is going to play on Friday. Rappaport says, oh, per sources, Sunday morning, Tajay Spears is going to play. Yeah, we knew that 48 hours ago. But this is a possibly going to IR versus a going
It's a
to
95% chance going to IR.
It's still a forward step. I do think they're slightly different.
I like Aaron Wilson. I don't think there's like deserves a ton of credit for that update. Like that's
okay. Well, but anyway, so he has not actually gone to IR yet, but he has not practiced. And this
right. So right now, Aaron Wilson is wrong.
Well, he's not wrong yet.
Yeah.
He's not wrong yet.
You're right. Daniel's right. Let's stay on topic.
Then Jeffrey Simmons' elbow did not practice. L'Jarius Sneed rest, not injury related. And then Amani Hooker's face. I don't think I've ever seen somebody be on the injury report.
I've never seen face. This is my first face on the injured reserve or the injury report.
Face is killing me too, right? That was my middle school joke that I immediately thought. Do you know anything about this face?
I do not. I'll have to look into it today because I'm super curious. Face.
Okay.
We got that injury report after practice. On Wednesday or Thursday, I think it was. So, yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Scott, could he cut himself shaving? I don't know. So some people saying he got cut during Deborah. He got a cut during the game.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Easton said there was a butterfly bandage on his cheek there too. So, so that's the Titans situation. Again, through 3 games, pretty healthy, right? I mean, this is not a bad deal. Then you got
and Jeffrey Simmons is day to day with this elbow. That was the update from Brian Callahan that this is not expected to be a long-term thing. The extra day to prepare for Monday Night Football is a big positive for Jeff. So the thought right now, we'll see how he develops throughout the rest of the week. But the thought is Jeffrey Simmons will play against the Dolphins with his elbow. Sneed and Hopkins should both be out there as well, with it not being non-injury related. And then Cheeto is going to be out. But those other guys should all be good to go.
You look at the Dolphins, shocker, David Long, hamstring alert. You've got a callus versus a blister situation going on in Miami with David Long Jr. So a lot longer, a lot more names on that list for the Miami Dolphins, including the quarterback situation that we're very aware of. But I think it very early in this, but I do feel like there is a topic brewing that it is the Titans signed a free agent and gave him a decent amount of money, and he has been largely unavailable so far. And that would be Chido Awuzie, because he had the calf injury in practice, and now he's got a groin injury in week 3. And the last time he's played a full season has been a while. And there has been injury concerns throughout his career. He's a good player when he stays healthy, but he hasn't been healthy for a lot of that time. And so here we are again. It's not John Robinson doing it, but it is Rand Carthon doing it, but a decently paid free agent veteran spending a lot of time not playing. And that's something that I'm not freaking out about it yet, but especially if Cheeto's going on injured reserve, he missed like 3 weeks at least of training camp, maybe more than that. And now he might be out for 4 games, right?
5 weeks. Yeah. 4 games, 5 weeks because of the bye.
Yeah, minimum. Yeah. If
By the way, if they're going to put him on injured reserve, they need to do it before Miami.
For sure, to have that clock start. Yeah, absolutely. So, any injury takeaways from you outside of, or just reacting to my thought about the Cheeto? I'm not pushing the panic button or the alarm. I'm just like, it's kind of like alert antenna is up on that situation.
Yeah, I mean, my only other update would be looking at DeAndre Hopkins, who hopefully sees an increased snap count pretty soon. He's still below 50% of the Titans' snap count total on offense. He was over 70% of the Titans' offensive snaps last year, and even that was a decrease from his normal career numbers. But over 70%, I think he was at 72% in 2023. You can live with that at this stage in his career. I think that's all you really expect from D-Hop, and he can be very, very, very productive playing 72% of the snaps. You'd like to get him over the 45% threshold that he's been at for like the last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
So Nick Holtz, they would like to see his snap count increase, but hopefully an encouraging sign because D-Hop had 7 targets while getting less than 50% of the snaps against the Packers. And, if that snap count goes up, maybe you keep seeing Hopkins more involved in the offense.
Yeah, and that's why I think the majority of the A to Z is on D-Hop over 35.5 yards, because that's less than half of what he got against the Packers when it was had to throw it a bunch around the yard type of day. Real quick, Patricia says, I don't understand why they signed Cheeto anyway. And then Danny says, I'm guessing Callahan had a hand in Cheeto signing. Like, I think Cheeto's signing was still valuable because of the culture that he was going to continue to carry over.
Cheeto signing.
I do too. But as Steve says, it was a gamble because he's had injury situations.
Yeah, but I mean, it's less of a gamble financially as it is just with a starting spot, right? Like, it's not like the deal is not catastrophic financially for the Titans to not make that deal. It's just, hey, if you're relying on Cheeto to be your starting corner and he's not healthy, there's a gamble involved there. But I don't have a problem with the contract itself.
Yeah, and then Roz brings up 1 injury away at cornerback from having burnt toast Trey Avery on the field. You might be Cheeto is all that might be need for the toast to be pulled up from the practice squad.
Well, he is going to get pulled up from the practice squad. Jarvis Brownlee's going to start, and despite what Denard Wilson was trying to play with me yesterday, Jarvis Brownlee's going to start. But yeah, Trey Avery coming up from the practice squad, so he's back, baby.
Yeah, Jarvis Brownlee, first start in his hometown of Miami, guarding Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
Yep, easy, right?
Yeah, I hope you got those tickets for your family. Yeah, good.
Confirmed.
I like Jarvis Brownlee Jr. I think
too.
He's a fun person to hear talk and fun to watch play too. All right, let's wrap up this Friday with some good news. If you have good news, share it in the chat. Ain't that good news to wrap up our week? Here we go. Out to Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. Lebanon online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. You're going to save money on the new ride when you go to Lebanon, Wilson County Hyundai. Good news, good news, good news. Sam, do you have some good news? I see Daniel says it's my birthday. So happy birthday to Daniel. I will not drop the Stephen A. Smith. Who cares? Good luck on you, but happy birthday to Daniel.
There we go. Yeah, I got a 2-parter good news for me today. Part 1, it's raining. I'm happy with the weather and the fact that it's raining. It is a refreshing little vibe. And I got this is a 3-part good news, I guess. I got a new Bluetooth plug-in for the cigarette lighter for my car. So now I can play music in the car because I did not have an aux cord. So I was very much like down bad in the car driving. But now that I have my Bluetooth plug-in for the cigarette lighter, I have music capabilities on a rainy day. So I'm going to go listen to folk music while I drive to practice and be very happy. So that's parts 1 and 2. Part 3 is my family's here. I got my brother and my sister-in-law and my parents, my grandma in town. They all, flew in this week. So they've been in town since Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and they're staying through tomorrow. But definitely been nice being able to get dinner and stuff and hang out with the family a little bit.
No, that is cool. So you don't have an aux cord port in the
I
car?
do, but my aux cord it doesn't work very well.
Okay.
The aux cord itself broke, but then the port doesn't work as well as the Bluetooth because I don't like having the cord. I like having hands free.
Yeah, because I'm like, first of all, they don't make cars with the cigarette lighter in them anymore, do they?
No,
that's done. Like that's an extinct car feature, correct?
Yeah. It's got to be, right?
I think so.
Makes sense.
But they still do make a Bluetooth cigarette lighter like adapter.
Yeah, of course.
Chris says you can special order it still. So you can special order a cigarette lighter in your vehicle, which is some type of move.
Yeah, that's a choice.
Yeah, because if you're special ordering a car in the first place, you're doing things. And then you got to need the cigarette lighter as an extra add-on is hilarious. All right, so that's your good news. Man, my good news is going to go like super like Geico homeowner becoming your parents theme to it. Got some new outside light fixtures and got them installed this week. My dad came over pre-storm, pre-rain, got the new lanterns outside of the garage door, got the new front porch light up. Now it's looking like a homier vibe because that was kind of our last step to the house aesthetics was getting those light fixtures updated. So did that. So here I am becoming my parents, but Farm Bureau Health Plan, not that other place. So that's where I am. I'm totally becoming my parents and having my good news about the house updates.
There you go. To answer some questions from the chat, I have a 2011 Chevy Malibu as my vehicle. And I listen to folk music.
How would you describe folk music?
Folk music.
What makes folk music not rock or not other genres?
Oh, I mean, I feel like it's pretty distinct, but there's
like
gonna
banjos involved?
There's gonna be a banjo involved
Okay.
to the music I listen to. I mean, I'll do some alternative folk, but picture Lumineers, Camp, Rainbow Kitten Surprise, Gregory Alan Isakov, some Dylan Gossett. It's more of a Billy Strings is a great call. Mumford and Sons. Yep. All of it. Okay. All of that stuff. So that there's a playlist that I've got on my phone, and that's pretty much what I listen to all the time. Mountain music.
Okay.
The type of stuff you would listen to
in Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, the type of stuff you would listen to driving through the mountains. That's my taste in music.
That's your jam. All right.
The most country I'll go is like Zach Bryan because I love Zach Bryan. But but he's like, I don't know if he's all the way folk. He's more like American folk or like I love Tyler Childers.
I don't know any of these things.
That's a real shame.
I'm music illiterate like that. I don't listen to music. So I don't know anything that's been produced post COVID, most likely.
That's correct. I mean, I don't listen to a ton of music either. I occasionally get in the mood for some random like indie punk. I think that's the right way of describing it, like Bleachers or something like that. But like, for the most part, it's folk all the way through. And that's really all I listen to. So I don't know anything about anything else, but I've got my, I can listen to Camp 24/7 and be very happy. I get a serotonin boost listening to that.
Eric says, does Austin have fun at all? No movies, no music. What? I don't watch movies, rarely watch movies. They take too long. Most of the time, and music I listen to sports like that. I enjoy music when I'm in an environment that is playing music, but I don't like seek out music myself.
Okay.
I'm just in the content game is too valuable to just.
I mean, it's fair, right? I've kind of shifted to podcasts over music when I'm working out and stuff, even. But then sometimes I'm just in the mood to, hey, let's throw out some. Like music is just a vibe. It just sets the tone.
Yes, Bork is correct. Austin works and only works. Yes, that's what I do. And then as John said, I install lights for fun. Like I did say this. Like I'm becoming my parents. I would read the newspaper if it was an easily able physical newspaper. Like if you could print out my Twitter account and hand it to me in a newspaper form, I would read that timeline. That's what I prefer to do. Anyway. All right. Ryan Fields is a super chat. Feed the line, Fish Sam, epic moment, protein boys. So there's a lot of words there that don't really make a ton of sense, but I do understand the reference.
He's saying feed the offensive line fish.
Oh,
because you got to get protein to the offensive line.
Okay, so there should be a comma in there after fish.
Feed the line fish, comma, Sam.
Okay,
but
moment.
yeah,
Protein
referring
boys.
to who wants fish tonight.
No, I got that. I was just confused on feed the line. I was like, what line? Like the line of the game? Like offensive line.
No. Yeah. Feed the offensive line fish, I think was his solution. To
commas are important. Commas are very important. Jared said, make commas great again. Yeah, you have to use commas. They are very important. But that'll do it for us here on this Friday. So we'll be back on Monday. Weird weekend. No Vols on Saturday, so no game day show with Charlie and Crompton. They're on a bye week. And no Titans on Sunday. So we'll see you guys Monday morning. I guess Buck will see you on Sunday night for A to Z Sports Primetime. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Like the show before you go. Hit the like button on Facebook and YouTube. Goes a long way for us. Have a great, safe weekend from the weather. If you're in Florida, Georgia, or the Southeast and getting pummeled by weather, stay safe. Don't swim in it. Don't ride a boat in it. But we'll see you guys after the weekend. Appreciate it as always.